talk about the business or the what is it? Your module three, research in business and business of research. So the slides that I'm going to share, and I guess I have to move at a slightly more rapid pace. So we'll start with research in business. Who is internet research? So this is for whoever is looking for opportunities to work as a researcher and would look for businesses online. Typically, those who are starting their own on their own, as research consultants. So this module is really useful for them. Internet research is actually a new field in the sense that you could find market research, market researchers. That's pretty common as far as given the job description that is become more on the formal side, and it is kind of given a coding from the government, and so it is recognized and it is considered as the more common research area, market research in quotes. But when it comes to online or internet research, it seems that everybody has this uh, misconception that it's easy for just anyone to go for it, and it as if it doesn't have any formal definition, right? So it's as if you're using a tool of some sorts. So not really considered a practice or a job description that could be official. But things have changed a lot, and we've been pursuing this field and lobbying behind it. We recognize in a formal way. So online or internet research specialist requires a skill set. It is a formal thing for us, and we have most of the members that are part of our group or our network. They are full-time practitioners of online research. So this is where we are going to focus. And one of the things that we start with, well, first of all, this is definition. And I find it to be one of those definitions that can be contested and could have more than what you're looking at, maybe written in 10 different ways. But to us, this is what we have defined it as a formal practice, and it's in the book also. So as you could see, it is a specialized skill, reliable, relevant, pertinent information that you can find online. That's what it is. Anyway, starting with the lesson or the topic, we will look at or give it an overview of how different, like how the client looks at the profession, or what is the expectation of prospective clients. Whether if you are starting your on your own as a research consultant, so what are some of the elements or some of the components of setting up a business yourself, and also to look at the itinerary that may work as a check mark for you to actually get into the business independently. um, the attributes, the type of um, tools and type of expertise that you need to put together. Because no matter what business you get into, you have to really be able to organize, and especially on the website, your packages, your offers, the presentation of how you are set up in the business world has to be actually something that you would call the business preparedness. So, am I ready to offer online services? Let's look at what it says. Now, in the research world, there is, especially these days, where outsourcing has become very common, and it is got a lot of platforms that you can actually use to find the quick research work. there is, clearly speaking, there is two options that you get. One is as a generalist, which means that you're not a specialist in any professional research, meaning like, there is a research areas uh, in academic research or legal research, clinical research. So there are so many that could be the specialization. Then you've got a generalist. That is the new crop of people who are offering their research work through online collection of data. And as a generalist, you are competing with quite a bit of offshore researchers at a very low cost points. Um, However, there are these clients or put perspective jobs that you can get as outsourced opportunities, which are more focused on the North American side, or language could be one consideration. Because as far as hard skills are concerned, like, there is hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills is that you can learn, like it is a skill that is formally is offered as something that you can learn for doing your online research. Even CIRS is a hard skill. But soft skills are different. It requires your, ability to have the critical thinking as one of the major components of research, being observant, good at data collection, where you're more inquisitive minded, and so on. So those are soft skills. But as far as generalist is concerned, you are basically good at collecting information like sales leads. So you don't have to be a specialist there. If you want to collect as a generalist, um, emails of someone, or to do data scraping, or to data scraping is when you are scooping up all the, different, depending on what information is required by your client, you would be very specific to that, and you would start collecting it and organizing that. So there are different types of generalist opportunities. And the only thing is that the hourly rates are much lower. But if you are into a niche area or as a specialist, even if you are doing investigative research, you're doing social media research, you're doing something that is called, if you a ghost writer, or you are someone who is specializing in giving opinions, or contributing to the forums. Because remember, a lot of portals, especially when they're getting into the business, they require a lot of content. They require um, interaction with others, to create that momentum, or that create that cloud, for it to be for it to have that traction for others to also, or third party or outsiders, the common users, to be attracted to it. So you need that volume thing. And because it cannot be generated initially, especially starting something new is more difficult. So you gather those generalists, or those people who have the ability to interact and somehow be. And there are marketing companies, they have like a lot of accounts which are fictitious, in the sense that they would put up the accounts with pseudonames and all that, and create that kind of a marketing campaign. So all that is floating around. Those are opportunities. But at the same time, you have to know whether you want to get into a specialized research area, or you want to work as a generalist. So that is your first consideration. And likewise, you're going to create your offers for your services. You can create the packages. You can put your prices and everything else that would go with it, so that it can be presented well, and it would be identified with your background, your professional experience, and so on. So expert subject knowledge or a generalist, just giving you a brief you know, introduction to it. So two areas. Then you've got where to search for information on the internet. If you are already in this business, then you have to be equipped with information sets that are well organized, because you know, your time to search is what you are getting paid for. And the more time you're going to spend look for information or areas or portals and all those sources, it's going to be a time spent. But rather, if you have something that is organized well, either as links or as your subscription somewhere, and you've organized it using, you know, there are different utilities and software that would allow you to not just the bookmarking, which is very basic. There are other tools and softwares that you can use, which is more on the, you know, on the side of you being able to retrieve them quickly depending on the subject matter. You can use the reference guides. I don't know, I think I told you where those are in the in your Dropbox. So those reference guides could work really well. It has a list of tools, it has list of different types of specialized search engines and so on. So you have to be ready with them. So as soon as you get the job or something that you feel comfortable getting as a research work, you should at the back of your mind also have an idea of what information you already have on hand and for which you have to pay for, or if subscription based, what could be the cost of. So that could be the other thing. Then we've got how to search for relevant and reliable. That means you should be able to verify information. It should be coming from a source that you can count on and rely on. It could be primary or secondary. If you're in the, um, uh, let's say, if you are doing comparative analysis or business intelligence collection, then you should be ready with it. Your packages should correspond with what you have uh, as your tools and your organized way of getting to the source itself. So relevance and reliability is important. How to identify fake and biased information. A lot of times you will be asked to verify certain information, certain type of researched content that the writers would require for you to do the vetting for them or to verify. Or even in social media, there are these specialized portals who actually the journalists subscribe to, and you can become part of their outsourced researcher to verify any of the news that is floating around, especially coming from sources like social media, or even the videos that you get to see, which are sort of circulated or tweeted um, frequently. There is a need for research work that involves verifying those news sources, as well as a bit of a forensic or background checks are required. So if you have tools to verify certain videos, you have ways of figuring out or identifying with the event that corresponds or somehow is related to it, you are getting into a different zone, which is more to do with, your expertise or your way of doing a bit of a forensic on it. So depending on what type of, but one of the things that fall into this area is called investigative online research. I think I've placed a book somewhere in your Dropbox. Is a book I wrote on this subject. It's called Online Investigative Research. That's another area which is similar to OSINT, or something we called open source intelligence. I guess OSINT. Yeah, INT is for intelligence and OS for open source. Uh, how to collect, tabulate, organize, because just collecting the information is not the end of it. That's where you start your, uh, organizing your research and start to make sense out of how it is related, connected, and derive inferences. But in order to do that, you should be able to organize that info. It could be in databases, Excel sheets, it could be analytics, whatever is required to work upon on the collection, the information you have collected. You should have that ability to organize it. How to write research reports is most important. Your communication skills, your way of understanding how the professional research is to be understood or recorded, or those research reports are to be formulated according to industry standard. So across the board, or anyone who looks at it would know that it is coming from a source or an individual or business, whatever you form, is more on the professional side versus as an individual who is a generalist and would probably not be acquainted with research methods as traditional research methods. So these reports are connected in that sense. Ability to conduct online investigative research work. It is a specialized area, again, somehow connected with subject knowledge, background, checking, due diligence, intelligence collection, all that has to do with using the internet as your primary resource would require specialized skills, which goes beyond your CIRS. That's the next stage or the next level. With you having the ability to do your research proficiently, create queries, everything is good. But there are methods and there are ways. One of the things that uh, I guess Anna was mentioning was to find that individual or to verify if the business is legit or not. That could be one of the things that even if you do find the business, to go beyond to look for, other type of underlying information, legal information, background checks, and so on. So that adds to your ability to just find or get to that info, uh, to verify and to do more due diligence and do background checks. That's online investigative research. Skip tracing is another one. We get a lot of um, people who are PIs, and they're not as proficient in doing online research. They just subscribe to certain databases, but they know that they can pick up a lot of leads and pick up that scent by looking up social media and other connections, especially with ontology, with how the search engine is making those connections. If you recall, we talked about how the ontology is playing a big role in AI, which is artificial intelligence, as well as social media platforms, how they are getting connected, and they're becoming a more preferred resource for gathering information on someone and their relationships. So all that is in specialized area. Familiarization of important cyber laws and ethical issues of the internet. Now, cyber laws have got a lot of different dimensions to it, depending on where you stand as someone who, or to what extent you are using your research, what is the objective of your research, whether or not you are not infringing on anyone's intellectual property, particularly copyrights, even trademarks. You have to be more concerned about jurisdiction at times. You may not want to get into you don't want to do the plagiarism or copying someone's info, reusing of data. What is your liability and responsibility if you do access or have subscription to some data? Would you be able to resell it or hand it over to third party as your client? Wouldn't that be of concern for wherever the source you got it from? Maybe there are some contracts involved there. So there could be even jurisdiction for the type of info that you can use. Certain type of research papers in USA or Canada, where the IP laws are very strict, you may need a special permission. If you are on the Eastern European side and collecting research papers there, perhaps not as much of a big deal. You may find some gaps where you can reuse that info. Similarly, there could be mm, issues of what could be considered um, taboo or socially not acceptable, as in Middle East somewhere, something that or a topic that you want to do research for or do surveys. Perhaps there is a different way of obtaining information from that part of the world, and so it continues. Um, and we'll tackle it when we get into internet law, which is going to be the next two classes. I have to finish this today. Then we've got sound knowledge of conventional research methods that we did sampling, we did data types, a bit of analytics, and so on, and some of the jargon or the language or headings of more common words used in research that we did under conventional research methods. Knowledge of specialized online search and research tools. That is what I was referring to with the reference books or the booklets, or one that says information sourcing, and I don't forget the name, but you have all of this. So that should be handy available to you, because you need to depend on your, um, you see, unless you are collecting everything or putting your reference sources together to be able to, get to the information quicker and not be searching for it. You may want to create a history, or historically, you don't want to go back and then go find the same sort of resource the second time around. It has to be collected and organized firsthand. So, conserving your time and effort is more important. How to perform precision search? We did that through search queries, notations, and all of that. So this is where we can think of as being the basics of. I'm not going to talk about how to form a company, how to, what is sole proprietorship, what is partnership. That part, we don't think that it is all that relevant, because you can find that information online. Things that we feel that you should be equipped with, basic things that before you start your own research, online research business, be prepared to, first of all, do your self check and get some sense of where you stand with all these knowledge areas. um, Besides this one, what else I would emphasize is that you should have a good digital footprint for you to be found. That's number one. And for you to give an impression or be able to be, you know, appear more professional, obviously. So, it starts because we are doing virtual marketing mostly. Nobody has resources these days to do, go on and do the networking physically by spreading the word around. So everything that ties down to your web presence, your the way in which you set up your website. Obviously, corporate structure is important, because that means that anybody who's giving you the work would be able to get some assurance that it is a legal entity, so you're paying your taxes, as well as if you have any other partners. If something happens to you, the business has someone else to take care of your that research, which could be ongoing or which is what you are working on. So in any case, the continuation of the business is important, and for that reason also, you should have your legal entity registered somewhere with the tax ID and all that. uh, Next thing is, what is the expectation of the client? What is typically, and this is not just based on the book knowledge, but we do our collection of these sorts of pointers that we give you through our practical experiences. with, we do offer online service, research services, and we do have clients and others that are our patrons. That sort of gives us a lot of first-hand information on what is going on the ground, and we bring that experience to our students through, by inducting all these in our course. So here is a bit of what the client expectation is. They're going to look for the experience in this industry or subject knowledge. Don't have to elaborate on that. What are the previous work experiences? The only thing that sometimes what bothers me is that when students ask a question like, and it is a legit question, and for everybody, anybody getting into any sort of business, it's a legit question. Like if you're starting on your own as independent researcher and you've worked in, let's say, some industry that you can claim to have experience with working there, that's good enough. But at the same time, what if you don't have that experience? What are you going to do about that? You're starting fresh, you want to start your fresh career, then you don't actually necessarily have that specific knowledge, but rather you, as a generalist, would like to offer your service. So how do you do that? um, Thing is that you may start with getting some references through other researchers, you can associate with them. Remember, in the research world, in reality, research sometimes expands and then it shrinks, from the volume of work that is required. And not everybody has those resources as researchers all the time. Even small to mid-size research companies or firms, they don't have that resource. Perhaps you can, work with them when they get something they get overloaded, or they have more work coming, they may want your assistance, so you can use them as a reference that you've worked with them. There are these portals or online platforms that you can utilize, even though they don't pay much, but for a reference it could be a good start. So if you're only looking for references, perhaps not go after the money first, but perhaps collecting that references is more important. So you may want to sacrifice your money's worth at that time. Can we trust giving business information? So the client is going to look at two perspectives of how the information is exchanged. One is that in any research, the client is going to have to share some information from of their own or internal info, and they're concerned whether that would they could trust you enough that it's not going to be leaked out. Second thing of concern is that if you're not going to reuse that report for which they've paid already to give it to their competitors, which is even high risk, or to reuse it in similar type of research again, so that it comes to you free because it's been paid for, but you are going to reuse it. So there's certain level of trust there. Then we've got, can we count on information and data reliability? The client wants to know in case, and there are a lot of companies that do research through surveys and they gather polls, but they're not well known for their integrity. And, just claiming that they have gathered that from a resource, which might be a consortium of marketers collectively, working together, passing information around, or appearing as, the subjects for, as legit subjects when they're basically just ghost accounts. All that could be something that the client would want reassurance on. And the type of data you're collecting, your capacity, your capability, your approach, you getting primary resource, secondary resource, which part of it would you be spending, or the type of information you're going after. If that needs to be obtained firsthand, um, then obviously the onus is on you as someone they can trust to actually do that extra effort to ensure it is coming from the source itself, and so on. what is the business size, background, expertise, client base, and so on. All these are kind of things which are typically well known to be basics of anyone who is giving, or even if I have to give out my research work, I would look at these background information, size of your business. Most important, as I said, is that you are actually a legal entity, because everybody wants an assurance that if God forbid something happens to you or you even get sick, would that put on hold the research process? Because everybody is on a timeline. So all that reassurance they can get if they know the background, size, and your expertise. By the way, in research work, often you need consultants, or you need um, someone that has expertise in certain research areas, um, just because of their background, industry experience, and their reputation, and so on. So you have to also be able to have certain names or certain people who could be more qualified or be consultants, but they can be on your website as outsourced consultants, or someone that you know would be able to assist you at times when you get those research type of research. Um, but then you have to really show it off. You really have to bring it to your website. You can't be saying something or claiming something and not having it placed on your website, because website is public. It is an evidence. It is a kind of a information to which the client is going to depend on unless they decide to verify it. Some questions they won't ask, but simply get answers from the websites. What are the business memberships with trade associations? If your research work is such that it requires an expertise or skill sets which is identified with certain qualifications or certifications, they certainly want to know if you are part of those trade organizations or business organization, or you have membership. It just shows your professionalism. It shows that you want to stay on top of any changes or anything new that comes in the industry. You are well acquainted with it, and more importantly, they know that your license or anything for which you are licensed to perform those type of research, as in CIRS, whether it is got basically that they can actually file a complaint, or they can actually go and contest or ask for those organization to cancel your licenses, right? That could be one extreme that gives an assurance. Second is that they want to make sure that the certification or qualification that you have can be verified. Um, at the same time, they're also going to look at the regulations or some of the policies, terms of those professional certifications to be complied with. That is what the membership organizations or professional associations uh, are responsible for, or at least has the ability to penalize you if any of those um, conditions or regulations as a professional are compromised. Um, then we've got who are the business partners, collaborators, affiliates, franchisees. So, even see if you are, you could put or demonstrate that you have other partners or you collaborate with them in some way, or some thing that talks about even for the softwares, as an example, like some of the softwares that we use for our research work, for analytics, we put their logo there because we only subscribe to their logos, and they would gladly give it because they also feel that it is good for their marketing. So those kind of things that you can place on the website. What is the business digital footprint like? Most important for your client is to find out as much as they can before they hand over the job. They want to see if you've got any followers somewhere in the Facebook or even LinkedIn, what kind of employees you have, because they're all connected and somehow LinkedIn has a better profile for the corporate organizations. So, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at opinions. They're going to look at interaction of how others are interacting and how you're responding on those virtual platforms. So your digital footprint and whether you're contributing through writing something as articles on the subject or that specialized kind of research you do. Even as a generalist, if you're a contributor somewhere, you're writing something which is intellectually um, or professionally inclined and has that kind of it gives that kind of a professional touch of you being part of the industry or connected through that article or things like that. So that's going to be another part. Your ratings, your reputation. A lot of times, I don't know if you saw in Google, even for us, there is a site which gives a reputation scoring for the organizations like ours, non-profits, and so on. So those platforms has indexed pages with the stars showing, and this is without my knowledge or anybody's knowledge here. Somehow those links prop up and they start to show the stars or rating. Luckily, we have 5 stars, and when we trace it back, it is coming from 2 websites. And who knows who's going to damage our reputation? And that's why we have a specialized field called reputation management, where people offer services to correct that or contest it or somehow work on behalf of those businesses and individuals whose reputation is getting compromised because of it. Are there any court cases or ongoing litigations? If you have, I don't know, but there are in North America, especially, there are ways of finding out any court cases. Even some of the queries that we have mentioned in the book, they allow you to do your search for legal cases. Um, we had a legal situation with ADP Systems. It's a public company in USA, and they do human resource, payroll management softwares and all that. And they had one of the certifications under the acronym AIRS. So, we sort of got engaged with them in a lawsuit, um, for which, we had to, now we have that information easily available. If we do that search, when we put the name of our uh, company and ADP or look for cases, we are able to find it in Canada. So that's the thing. So all of the essentials, I would say, and there could be more, but for us, it seems like we have to cover ourselves enough that we bring that sort of presentation, or we are somehow accepted or have a high chance of getting some research work or serious research work. So this is where I'm going to end. There is a third slide, but it is kind of a repeat. How do I get online research work? Okay. And we are going to cover this anyways. So we can go through it quickly. I won't spend a lot of time. Some of it we already know, but I leave this open. How about I just leave it open and just take a break right now? You can look all these that are mentioned. They're just briefs, few lines, and if any one of you want me to explain any of it, I'll gladly do that. In the meantime, I'm going to turn off my mic and my video, and I'll see you shortly in about 10 minutes or so. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Doretha. I have a question.
Yes, Doretha, go ahead.
When we receive our certification, Uh, it seems like I read that it's a possibility that employers looking for internet research specialists will contact us. Is that correct?
Yes,
How will they get our name?
they would look into the members directory that is when you get certified, you automatically become a member and you're placed in the directory of members and your credentials are highlighted, it's certified versus others that are just associate members and not certified members. So some of the companies, because we are selective and the information that we circulate or allow for others to look into are from the companies that we feel that are qualified or that work with us. So it's not like a public information. There are members who don't agree to having their information published or publicly available. So for that reason, we are pretty much, um, you know, it's not only selective, but we just don't want to open it to the public's view.
Okay.
So that's where you are with this, because we did have a little bit of a situation where not everybody was interested in get. So that's why we are going to create a job board,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, that's I don't know why. I mean, but obviously everybody has the right to their information being available publicly. And obviously for contact reasons, they would want more details like their emails and things of that nature. So we didn't want to disclose that. But anyways, there are few companies that I can't name them, but I can tell you that they look into. But obviously, you have your own credentials to market yourself with.
Mhm.
There are so many different platforms. As far as CI, we are concerned, there is going to be a form which everybody, whoever is the associate or certified, will sign up with in order for them to be placed on a job board. So in the job boards, you have potential clients asking for something, their information is disclosed, and so is yours. So pretty much it is a connection between two parties, uh, you know, um, and that's going to be a public board. And I hope we can get it done somewhere January, February, sometime around that.
Okay, thank you.
Independent research. What is independent consulting business? You have to be a specialist or a consultant. That a lot of times people are looking for research work that has to be done independently from for the reason of let's say having um, non-biased uh, kind of work done where you have shareholders, investors, you've got lenders, you've got so many third parties that would engage you to verify something or to do research on something. We're going to look at some of those research reports to get a sense of what is available or how they are named and what type of information they contain. Independent research specialist is consultant. Okay, so they can collect information and reliable data through scientific ways in the least. It is definition based. I don't think these definitions are coming in the exam. This is for you to just know and for you to, if you want to look for definitions of these two, independent consultant and research specialist, these are the two definitions we have. More important is purpose of, okay, again, this is ABC of what is the purpose of professional research. All right. Um, this also is not as, I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, like increase the existing knowledge, find new information, construct or create new procedures, develop investigation. So they're all itemized. It's just collection of different ways in which we can define professional researcher. Um, they remember I told you about soft skills and hard skills. So these are some of the lists of soft skills. It is more on the self-assessment side. So when you are starting your own, on your own, you have to evaluate your ability. It requires a more than just hard skills. Um, you have to have, communication skills, negotiations, ability to solve complex analytical problems, collaboration and coordination skills to work with. These are not easy to get, or these are not learned skills, but rather, a lot of people have it. So you have to do your self-assessment to see if you have these skills to get into anything independent. Um, Now, this is where the whole thing starts. I'm going to talk about research in businesses. So, in the business world, you've got management reports or internal reports, which is where, the management is involved in gathering information and data that they have coming in from different departments for different reasons. They compile it and make it into management reports. Then there are external reports that the management has to prepare for shareholders, for lenders, and so on. And external reports are, usually require some sort of audit or third-party interference in order for the management to have a kind of, they could be responsible for partial data that is gathered by the research analyst or researcher, externally hired person, which would fill in anything that requires analytics or requires third party opinion or requires some information collected from competitors or outside resources, like industry research they could do and bring in some of the information data into these reports to make it external reports. Then you've got information and data required by shareholders, job description, and then responsibility for business. Now, this one, the third one, the job descriptions is what is important, and we discuss it at quite a bit, because job description sort of gives you an idea that who is the go-to person to ask for or to look for opportunities to get hired. um, Certain reports or research are a job of departmental heads, especially in the marketing department. They might require for their reporting, they might require data which can only be collected by third party. It's not easily available to their, as they are their competitors, or the competitors won't really give out certain type of info for which an external resource might help. And who you're going to go to is what we will discuss, or certain job descriptions, rather job titles, I would say, we will talk about to see what type of reports they handle. And therefore, you as a researcher would have the opportunity to actually proactively market yourself to those departmental heads or those with the titles that I will mention just now. Business reports and information. So there is business reports, and in business reports are basically, business and information reports are the same. Business reports are mostly competitive intelligence, price analysis, product analysis, feature set analysis, business um, mm, uh, goals, versus the capacity or the resource availability. Information reports is usually a collection of information through the industry related reports that you gather from outside as an independent researcher and bring it to the management for them to use it in for comparison reasons, or for decision making when they're launching new products, or for any products to be compared with where the industry is going, and whether or not the industry it would be the kind of technology or kind of info which would be in sync with the trends or what is coming, or has some projections for the same type of product, or the industry gives more information on what could be the future of something. So all of that can be collected. So management reports and business reports, again, there is a management report which is used internally by the management, and it is gathering information from the regular operation of the business, while business reports are more to do with collecting information on industry and competitors. A list of research reports used in businesses, these are named here as most of the, these are the common type of uh, internal or operational research, management related, or even business research related reports. But because they are named here in a way that sort of allows you to actually look for or use these terminologies to find more about these type of reports, to see what data is captured or what is the information used in these type of reports, you can connect it with your expertise to somehow find certain type of info which is which you can bring to the table, or which you can bring to the management as an outsider. So understanding what is the different type of information sets that it contains, you should be able to reach out to the right person to knowing that that could be the requirement, and then offer your services as someone that can gather those reports. So if you say are talking about market research reports, within market research reports there could be several different ones. Like market research itself would require certain information, from the competitors, and that could be gathered. Industry trends, you may be an industry veteran who just retired or who's looking for finding ways of bringing that info. It sort of lessens the burden or brings the kind of info which otherwise is available outside of the internal operation of the business. That's what you're getting to, basically. Like social media presence, this requires an expertise. Unless it's a huge company that has hired people who specialize in collecting social data, social media related data, they might find it economical, as well as use your expertise. If you have a expertise in social media, you can be collecting information for them to use. Brand loyalties could be one report, one research you could do, social trends, opinions, and so on. Consumer preferences surveys, SWOT analysis. SWOT means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you can help them in gathering some of the info for them, or you can even be outsourced to build SWOT analysis. Financial accounts, not as much. It is more to do with financial analysts. More of these type of research that sort of gives or produces a share valuation as a third eye, or as an outsider with a non-biased opinion for shareholders, or where their shareholders are looking at certain information which for which they are not satisfied with the auditor's work. I don't know if you know, but auditors are paid by the management. They're not paid by the shareholders. So there are a lot of times there is a sort of established relationship between the management and the auditors, and whatever they produce or whatever they put in the research. I'm sorry, in the financial reports. Some of those are like provisioning for future outcomes of something for which large figures are put together, that could actually distort the financial outlook, and therefore they might require someone who has a financial background, or has or can verify or be vetting those informations or those numbers. uh, Budget and cost analysis, perhaps gathering some of the data from their competitors. That could be another set of it. So once you start to put together any kind of package or anything that you're capable of doing as an expert in that area, you know beforehand of what could be useful or what could be some information that you can bring to the table for them and make it more cost efficient, effective for them. So for that reason, you have to understand what these reports are. And when we are giving these in bullet points, we are just giving a main heading of it. Like if you type market share analysis or market share research, you would find a lot of articles on it, more information on what it contains. That way, you can actually give a package, you can put together the services as being able to bring or gather that kind of info, which would be part of the market share. So you can actually draft or bring, into the business something from outside as an independent researcher, knowing that there is always a requirement in the business for which some of the business may not have the expertise, but you might just step in and give or build a packages around these type of research reports. These are research reports, okay? Even help in business plans, business valuations, assets valuation, and so on. So you don't miss out on this opportunity. Then some of the jobs or the kind of job titles that are mentioned here are mostly the right people that you can get to as a pointer to who should be, the kind of managers or senior executives that are responsible for handling all of these or have people working under them in, say, for instance, product manager and product design. So product managers are in a good position to understand the needs of potential customers and then work with the production or engineering or whoever is responsible for building the products. They would be a go-between or in-between um, uh, experts to understand customer needs versus what is available or what can be designed. So product managers are one, senior business executives like directors, VP, senior managers, and so on. Not as interesting or not as important, but nevertheless, it has that dimension where you would get some sense, but just reading through their job description, you would know their responsibility and therefore understand why these could be the right people to actually connect with. Uh, you can also do in lead collection, like leads that are generated in sales, perhaps knowing what type of reports are handled by these people. You may want to gather a list or create a list from online data collection of email addresses and contact information of these people. Now, any organization that has analysts or some sort of people that specialize in doing data analytics, this means, and this data analytics is a generic word. Data analysis, analyst, analytics is more or less the same thing. They could be business analyst, cost analyst, financial analyst. So these are some of the analysts that you can work with also, um, like even quantitative data analysts. So that could be another opportunity. Establish value to your investment. So if you are looking to offer services as an independent consultant, you have to evaluate your minimum cost of service or whatever you are worth or whatever you should ideally be paid according to the industry that looks at your professional background and everything else which is listed here. So why we need all of this is because it has the capacity and it has the value for you to interpret or to put a value to your hourly rates. So if you are specialized in CIRS, perhaps you can add to your hourly rate, because now you have actually added another point or another expertise. Um, uh, Likewise, your association with the organization, your background, your experience, and everything else put together, you have to make sure that whatever you offer is um, worth your investment in building your career as a professional and professional researcher. So unless you know what your worth is, it's going to be a bad start to offer your services without having a sense of what could be the optimum price or the attractive cost of your services versus where you would think or want something and that you won't get as a result of your miscalculation. So you have to stay along with the what the market is like. Here we are talking about SWOT analysis, just to give you an idea: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's just for your information, what it would mean as an example: internal origin, external, like internally, you're going to look at where the business has got strength, where the business has weaknesses, versus where the opportunities are, and what could be the threats. You are not asked to create SWOT analysis in the exam, nor have we got uh, SWOT analysis as part of your curriculum to actually analyze or to create. You're not going to create any research reports. So just so you know, in the exams in CIRS, the only thing that would guide you in preparing market research or market research reports is the specimens we talked about earlier when we discussed the proposal for research and the response to research. That's about as much as we could ask you to have, um, have an idea of what it could be involved. Now, in this chart, we are showing the headings, which, for instance, here it says marketing and sales. And under this, we have listed the research reports, or how the research or different types of research reports are named, just so that you know if any of these wordings are typed in as keywords in your search, you should be able to find more information about what is contained in these reports. So unless you have an idea of what these are, how these are named, you won't be able to get to them. To use these names only as a reference to finding more information is the reason why we have actually created this chart. And marketing and research, at the top is the department, or anything, any activity that has to do with marketing and sales would require, ideally, both for internal and external reasons, and for partial data that is related to something that you can deliver as a service or outsourced service, which mixes or becomes part of these reports, are exactly why these are mentioned. So campaign effectiveness, comparative analysis, brand research, consumer insight, these can be also used as your packages or marketing packages for your services. Okay. Specifically to the segment or the type of data that you would like to offer, or the type of research you would like to offer or bring to them, the part of information that requires external help together. Similarly, in company research reports, these are the different ones: equity valuation, share valuation. Unless you're coming from finance background or you are coming from accounting background, this may not be as useful. Perhaps you may still want to consider it, but again, it's just how you want to position yourself, either as a niche expert in a specialized area or as a generalist. Technical reports, financial reports, these are all listed. So this chart is for a reference, and this has more to do with research and business as one of the major topics, which is what we are discussing so far. So in any business or inside an organization that has got operational needs to build internal reports and external reports, they would have a requirement to have outside researchers involved and would come to you as an opportunity. Okay. In the niche areas or specialized research, these are more common, or at least we think that these are the areas like business competitive intelligence, company research, accounting, and financial research. These are some of the major areas in which you would consider yourself or have some specialized background to take these headings as an area of research or requirement for generating information sets for the organizations. Then on the other hand, we have something we call KPO, or knowledge process outsourcing. That KPO word is no longer used as frequently as it used to, like maybe 8-10 years ago, but nevertheless, the business model remains the same, which means uh, knowledge professional outsourcing. This is for expert levels or any kind of information that requires um, some sort of skills, like sales lead generation. A generalist would gladly do it. A KPO would gladly do it. Data scraping, there are tools and softwares these days that gather it for you, or most of the work in data scraping is not just gathering information, it's organizing it properly. So those are the skills you require. Recruitment data research is more common. You have to find resumes, look for potential clients, and it has more to do with HR. Market research data, surveys, polls, focus groups, social media research, all KPO. And again, KPO is the word that's coined by outsourcing companies, mostly the ones that are in in third world countries or where the labor is cheap. They have doctors, engineers, or experts that would provide their expertise or their services for pennies and dimes. So you end up competing with the KPO market, which is an outsourcing market. But again, these are opportunities, and there is a always something available which focuses on the type of researcher that has better communication skills, or there's a language barrier that can be overcome. So they're very specific to North American market and so on. So this needs exploring. But basically, these two areas are where we are going to split the opportunities: expertise on the left and popular research areas in KPO market. Um, we have Okay, market research, we don't have to do, we are not talking about market research reports, but we are just giving you an idea of what is usually considered to be more attractive outsourced opportunities for gathering information. In product launch company, if you know that there is a business who is launching new products, or you have some sense of knowing that there are businesses, especially in technology, that needs to bring new feature sets or anything competitive in the market. They would need business intelligence, comparative intelligence, product comparison, etc. Again, all of these have their roots, or at least the subsets of these major type of reports in the charts that I just showed you under the heading marketing and sales. Surveys are more common, people sentiments, especially on the qualitative side. Not a lot of people specialized in qualitative surveys. So, and you have to understand that when you are creating your survey questionnaires and survey charts, there is a specialization in building those sort of questionnaires for surveys. For recruitment of subjects, you need some sort of specialization. You need to know certain laws and certain, especially privacy laws, consumer rights, and there is a aspect of understanding the documentation that are involved in collecting information on when you're using human subjects, and that needs an understanding. So this is a specialized area. Qualitative has inherent limitations, or inherently they're more complex to be able to convert that information or those sets of qualitative data into something that effectively can be used to do analytics of some sort. Those expertise and those methods you have to know. Then you've got industry reports. This we've talked about. A lot of small or medium-sized research companies, they continuously are producing industry-related information and reports. Um, when we talk about industry reports, these are different from, where you see sites like Data Monitor. There's another one called Pew Research. They've got staff in-house, which is, gathering information and keep producing certain research reports. Could be social related, trend related, or a subject that is a hot subject related. It could be a question or a problem that they're solving on their own, but what they're doing is they're selling their research papers. They're also not specifically doing industry reports, but everything, including industry reports. So they're, slightly different, because I've had questions, people asking about Pew Research and Data Monitor and like. So anyway, industry report is more popular. People who are doing, again, looking for investing in certain type of industry, looking for loans, looking to procure machineries and all that, they would require industry reports. Factors to consider for research price determinations. Now, when you are offering your services, you have to give some estimate of how much it's going to cost. Obviously, you want to stay within the norms of how the market is dictating the cost of doing something or cost of doing research project. And some of the common ways, which I would say is somewhat similar to other type of costing processes, it applies the same in research also. But let's look at some of them. Typically, the client and the business, of course, I mean, you need a background of the client. You need to see their, if they're new business, starting, funded, self-funded, growing business. All those are different ways in which you can assess the type of business and the type of industry they're in. So that would have an impact on the cost. The size of the project, the size, again, it's it depends on how you're going to size up the business in terms of number of employees, or is it going to be a small company with very high-end clients? Would it be doing research on long-term basis? Would they be preparing their reports proactively, hiring or having researchers that are only doing research work and producing research reports and selling it as goods or selling it as their product? Their strength basically of how they are positioned. So if they are the kind of research companies that are that you can that can give their services on demand, then the size can be small, or the expertise level or the consultants can be experts in certain industry. So the size would not only be dependent on the money invested or how many people are in the business, but also what is their financial health like, or how long they've been in business, and what is their positioning of their business, like how it is set up. The complexity of the project, complexity may have everything that you see in here. It's not numbered, unfortunately, it's just got tabs in it. Everything is interrelated. So it is like a string with a lot of beads in it. And all of these are like beads that are put together to get the pricing or determine the price of the project. The complexity of the project, complexity can be in terms of the subject matter, or it could be a specialized area, or it could be a period of time that certain type of projects would take if they're ongoing or they are time barred or they're, so there could be complexities, the volume of data. All of these are explained in detail in the book. So each one of these has long paragraphs that you have to, you can get into and look for. But if I was you and if I have to work towards my CRS exam, I would just sort of get a sense of what it means only through reading these lines as, let's say, headings. That's it, and be able to understand it instead of reading through the all paras in the book. The volume of data to be gathered, obviously, again, is it structured, unstructured data? Is it far too many numbers, or it is far too many survey reports, or what type of information or the volume of data, individual data are there? If it is, sometimes the volume is less, but it is how to get to that information. So to get one figure or one number, it would take you a lot of effort to do that. On the other hand, just the volume of data, that is far too many data sets, and you have to do sampling or anything that requires a process to reduce those data sets, that would also have an impact and be called the volume of data that you have to work with, and therefore, the pricing would be impacted. The type of engagement, would these projects require subcontracting? Do you need to hire experts or industry experts to get their opinion or not? That would matter. Or whether you need some subcontracting to expand the research work, because it is sort of getting to a zone where you would need more human resources. So that means subcontracting and adding to the cost. um, Self-assessment of your hourly rates, this is most important, I think, between everything else. Self-assessment means that you have to divide your human, it's because it's research work, it has got a lot to do with the calculating hourly rates of the type of expertise or the level of work that you are handing over to your colleagues or your employees. And each of those employees would have certain skill levels or certain capabilities. So each one would have the value or hourly rate that can be different from one another. So to have the right assessment of minimum hourly rate, that is the primary number that you're going to use, or the bulk of the price that is going to make it into your projections or your budget, or your proposal, or the cost proposals. So minimum hourly rates require a certain way of calculating it. And within that rates that you calculate, you have to keep in view the market strains, or somewhere where you feel that you are getting carried away or low pricing your hourly rate, and in turn running into losses because you did not calculate it properly. Which means that there is a minimum cost of your engagement that you need to build into your hourly rate, such as one of the components is the minimum cost of your work, so that you can pay your bills by gathering or getting enough money out of it to sustain yourself, or to have your salaries paid, or to yourself. Then there is a component of overheads that you have to, and I'm talking about someone who is the one that owns the business and is responsible for offering minimum hourly rates that would not turn his business into a losing business. So the other components, minimum overheads variable overheads, fixed overheads that you have to build in, everything that would come up with a figure, leaving out enough profit or a margin of profit that even if you offer that minimum rate, you would still not get run into run into any kind of losses on account of your services delivered. So that needs to be calculated. And at the same time, you have to keep in view that if you're staying in the market or in the market that you are in for between competitors and yourself, you're not totally low balling, or it's not too much of a low rate that would also give a bad impression, and it is not a very high rate, so it has to stay competitive. So all those factors will be built into your hourly rates. And I keep emphasizing hourly. As I said, most of the work is human effort, and your own um, cost that you have to be mindful of. You should not go below that rate. Check for the acceptable pricing methods in the research market. The prices that you're offering has different sort of working for or methods that are called that can be considered acceptable industry wide. There is a cost plus method, there is a fixed price, there is a project based, and so on. So those methods have to be acceptable methods in this type of business. The competitive pricing and understanding the market pulse. So, the pricing can vary. It could be seasonal also, coming closer, or starting new year. They have more budgets to work on, talking about the client. So, you can probably charge, a better price, and so on. So you have to keep uh, um, a good outlook on what the market is like. Most acceptable billing methods. Okay, there is a billing method which is again like pricing method. It needs to be identified as acceptable, so that you are doing something which is expected by the client. Or if the client is used to getting their research work outsourced, they would know of the billing method that is acceptable, considered acceptable. And you have to conform to that. Relationship with the client is another factor, of course. Relationship meaning trust, meaning openness, meaning informal negotiations, meaning less of restrictions as far as contractual obligations, more flexible in milestones, delivery timings, and so on. Clients budget, size of client's business. So these are the factors which would determine the pricing. um, yeah, so we'll go through this, and this we don't need. I'm just making an overall assessment. So the outsourcing platform, that would just take about 15 minutes. This part, okay, so I am going to take a break. I'm sort of not feeling up to it to continue. A little bit sort of under the weather, you could say. So I'm going to have to continue with some of these, just looking at how much time it's going to take. So we'll finish up the rest. Maybe it'll take me about 15-20 minutes in the next class. Did you all know that we have two more classes that we scheduled for what, Wednesday and Friday? Or do you know that, eh? You
Yes.
are okay. So Anna knows. Doritha, you know about it, eh? Or no? Brooke, you're on board. I
Yep.
know. Yeah.
I
And
just
at
won't
my
be able to come to the next class, I'm afraid. We've got our company Christmas party, so I'll be at the last one though.
was that New Zealanders English or something that I couldn't really get to hear properly.
Right. I'll be at the last class, but not the next one.
Okay. No, the last class or the next one? There is only 2 more classes.
No, what
Yes,
he's saying is Wednesday, he can't be there. Friday, he
Oh,
can.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for
Simple words.
interpreting.
Well, I'm in
Thank
the
you so
same
much.
boat. I'm in the same boat. I can't be there Wednesday, but I'll be there Friday.
Okay.
And I'll be there
Alright.
on both.
So not enough people for me to give class on Wednesday, it seems. If 2 of you are not available, then we've got only Anna. I don't know, Daritha sort of
Yes,
she's
I'll be there if you're
Okay.
having class.
Yeah, so Doritha, you and Anna, if you're going to be around on Wednesday, because I for sure Brooks and Admira will not be able to make it, eh? Okay, so hopefully I'll see you both on Wednesday. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut it short a little bit today.
Can I say something real quick to
I mean,
Anna? Anna,
what?
can I say something
Yeah,
real
Anna.
quick to Anna? Anna, I'm a workforce development program manager. And so I work with felons as well. And so there's a site where you can find employment for them. It's called felonyrecordhub.com.
Can you put it in the chat?
Sure.
Then I can see it.
Oh, okay.
Write it down.
Can you see it? Because I put it in the chat.
Let's see now.
I don't think we
I
can
saw it.
see chat.
I think
Yeah, but I don't
that's
think, I think only you, the association can see all conversation. I don't think when we put anything in the chat, it's not shared amongst the rest of us.
Oh, well, let's
yeah. See,
see.
when you're putting something in the chat, you can actually get a drop down somewhat. It's a very small text alongside your email address, I think, or your ID. Okay, that would give you an option to send the message to everyone versus anyone else, like privately. So if I copy and paste this again, I think it'll go to everyone.
Okay.
Actually, I have the everyone thing. Me to everyone. Is this available to you?
Yeah,
Mm,
now that's seen. Yeah, we can see that one.
okay.
I've just sent my email address to somebody, I don't know. Okay, Felony Record Hub.
Yes, felonyrecordhub.com.
Is this in the States or in Canada?
Yes, it's in the state. It's in the States, but it has all the states of the United States, but it might also have other countries as well.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'll say goodbye to you all. I'll see you day after, and Brooks and Doritha on Friday. All right. Bye bye
That's
for now.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye bye.
Bye.